The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is an international treaty established in 1992 aimed at stabilising greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that's going to prevent anthropogenic or human interference with the climate system. Such a level should be achieved over a prolonged period of time, sufficient to allow ecosystems to adapt naturally to climate change through evolution. In turn, this will ensure food production is not threatened to the human race, however still allowing economic development to proceed in a sustainable manner.
I am a rolling wave
A Conference of the Parties, or a COP, is held annually to assess progress of pledges and to negotiate new framework that optimistically will become binding. In 1997, that just happened. A separate document known as Kyoto Protocol was established at COP3 in Kyoto, Japan. It is a legally binding agreement to reduce carbon emissions and is signed separately by parties, meaning you can be part of the UNFCCC, but you don't have to be part of the Kyoto Protocol. The original UNFCCC and the Kyoto Protocol reports focus highly on developed countries in the global north, also known as Annex I countries, and their responsibilities to climate change globally. However, little is discussed about least developed countries, LDCs, and their responsibilities with climate change. Here is an example from the UNFCCC 1992 report. The Annex I parties shall take full account of the specific needs and special situations of the least developed countries in their actions with regard to funding and transfer of technology. The report is based on what developed countries can do to help LDCs, but does not address what LDCs can do themselves for climate change. The LDCs make up 49 nations that are especially vulnerable to the effects but have little responsibility for the cause of human-induced climate change. In 2001, at its 7th session, the COP adopted LDC's work program and established the Least Developed Countries Expert Group, or LEG, aimed at providing technical support and advice to LDCs on adaptation programs of action. They meet twice a year, providing support through workshops, development guides, and other tools. The LDC party stresses that it will be the most seriously hit by climate change, with evidence already arising from increased droughts, floods, and other weather patterns. Therefore, adaptation and climate resilience are their major negotiating positions in the UNFCCC, with two aims: demanding wealthier nations to address the cause of climate change and to be a leader in preventing dangerous greenhouse gas emissions. The chairman of the LDC's party, Mr. Prakash Mathema from Nepal, stresses that at a certain point, adaptation will have its limits, and in the long term, mitigation is the best form of adaptation. Adaptations to climate change is seen as the ability to cope with and support those affected by climate change. For example, a well-adapted state would be able to provide shelter and aid to the victims of a village hit by a severe flood. However, an unadapted state would need to call upon other Annex I states to provide that sort of aid and would consequently lose more lives. Measuring the effects of climate change on least developed countries is assessed by the amount of human deaths caused by natural disasters and the gross domestic profit from exports of those countries. If the gross domestic profit is declining and the amount of deaths is increasing, then climate change is not being addressed properly. LDC's negotiating points in the UNFCCC is not only for support from other parties through times of need, but also the economic expansion of their own countries in order to increase their adaptation capabilities. We have established that LDCs contribute little, if any, greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, and therefore hold no responsibility of the global crisis to climate change. However, it is evident with the amount of states involved with the UNFCCC that LDCs have a voice and an opinion about climate change. Despite their lack of responsibility, least developed nations are making a stand against negotiations being purely constructed by wealthier, accountable states, creating it a truly global issue tackled together as one.